back to my channel. So today's video, I am doing a Crocktober special. Since we are still in October, it was like super cold today, and I had on the meal plan to make broccoli cheddar soup like later on this week, but today was the coldest day so far, and it's not going to be as cold the rest of the week, so I thought it was a great time to take advantage and make this broccoli cheddar soup. I am following a recipe, so I will have the recipe link down below in the description box for everybody who wants the exact measurements, but I'll still go through it in the video. But also, I did add like a little bit more than what the recipe calls for, because I know I'm definitely going to want some of this after I have the baby. So I'm trying to see if I can get at least 2, possibly 3 bags of soup put in the freezer. So I'll at least have that. I do have a few other freezer meals stored up if you've seen some of my other what's for dinners. But this one I definitely want to have put up in the freezer. Plus, these kids like go crazy over broccoli cheddar soup. So I just wanted to make sure I have like enough, you know, so that I have like leftovers to freeze up. But anyways, that being said, this is like a Copycat Panera broccoli cheddar soup recipe. I've used it before in the past and I've loved it. I try at least once a year to make broccoli cheddar soup just because we love it, and it's so expensive to buy in stores, especially now. I don't know. Tell me if y'all notice, like, the price of groceries is going up and up and up and up. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Yeah, so pretty simple recipe. It's got like a few little tedious steps, but it's very simple and easy to follow along with. So I hope you guys really enjoy this. Before we get started, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. So let's get into this video. Okay guys, so to start out with, I am just taking my broccoli and washing it, and I'm going to trim it off of the harder end pieces. If you like your broccoli chopped up a lot smaller, I would suggest not just separating the head, but also like maybe chopping it down some, because I did get some pretty big pieces in the soup. Normally it cooks down a lot better to where I don't really have to chop it, but we didn't really mind anyways, so it was what it was. The recipe calls for 4 cups of broccoli. I did not measure it, honestly. I just used like, I think 5 heads of broccoli, because I had 6 altogether and I had 1 left over. Then I'm just grating some baby carrots. I'm using the small end of my grater so that Miss Picky Pants next to me over here did not see the carrots in the soup. And yeah, so the recipe calls for a 1/2 cup of the carrots. I also did not measure this. I kind of just eyeballed it to what I think would be 1/2 cup, and then I went a little bit over because I knew I was putting way more of everything else in the recipe. So I'm pretty sure that even the broccoli wasn't 4 cups. I'm pretty sure it was like 5 or something. So yeah, I'm just grating up those carrots pretty finely, and I'm going to dump that on in. Now I'm chopping up a 1/2 of an onion. The recipe does say 1/2 of a yellow onion, but I didn't have any yellow onions, and when I went to Aldi this week, they were completely out of yellow onions, which was like super weird. All they had was red, but it was what it was. It was fine. So I just chopped those up as finely as possible and dumped that in. I did keep the 1/2 cup though, because we're not like huge onion fans to begin with. Next, I'm adding in my chicken broth, or what I did was substitute that for an exact ratio of chicken bouillon cubes with hot water. So I'm just dumping the cubes into some water and microwaving that until it gets nice and warm so that I can mix it through. One of the cubes didn't want to melt down though, but it was fine because while it was cooking in the crock pot, it did melt down, so it wasn't an issue. But the recipe does call for 4 cups of chicken broth, so if you were using the bouillon cubes, you just use 1 cup of water for 1 cube, so 4 cups of water and 4 cubes total.
Artlist.io
So again, because I'm using more of everything in this recipe, I ended up using 5 cups of water and 5 bouillon cubes and poured that all together into the crock pot. And next I will be adding in my seasonings. So the seasonings in this is super light. You just take a teaspoon of salt, a half a teaspoon of ground black pepper, and then the last ingredient, don't look at me weird, it's an 1/8 of a teaspoon of nutmeg. The first time I did this recipe, I thought they were crazy, but you honestly don't taste it in the soup, and I don't know what it would taste like without it. I haven't tried. I just followed the recipe from the beginning and never found an issue with the nutmeg in it. Now I'm putting my crock pot on low, and I'm gonna let that cook down for 4 hours. So when my 4 hours was almost up, I got started on my cheese sauce. I'm just shredding up a block of mild cheddar cheese. The recipe says you need about 2 cups. I did a little bit over, obviously. So I did shred up the entire block, and then I want to say maybe about 1/4 of a second block of cheddar. And then I'm starting on a roux, so I'm using 4 tablespoons of butter. The recipe says 3, and I'm adding in some flour as soon as the butter is melted. The recipe says 1/3 of a cup of flour, and you just cook that down until it gets a little bit more combined, and you add in your half and half. The recipe says to use a cup, and you get that all mixed together until it starts to blend and kind of come together in sort of like a pasty form. So in the next clip you'll see it's really like kind of like pancake batter, but like a little bit thinner than that. You definitely don't want it too thick, and you definitely don't want it too thin. And then you just add in the cheddar piece by piece, handful by handful, because if you add it all in, it'll kind of clump and not really cook down as well. So it's better if you just kind of separate it while you're going and let all that melt down into your roux. So this is how it should look, kind of like a mac and cheese sauce a little bit, but a little bit thicker. And this is how the soup is looking after 4 hours. So the vegetables are nice and tender, and there's still a good amount of broth to mix with that cheddar sauce. So now I'm just adding my cheddar sauce into the broccoli soup, and I'm mixing it all together until it's well combined, and then I'm going to turn off the crock pot after this. I didn't show it in a clip, but you do turn it off because it does not need to cook any further. The roux itself is cooked separately, and the broccoli and everything is cooked, so really the only thing you're doing here is just combining it. So I'm serving the soup alongside this French baguette that I found at Aldi's. It just says take and bake, but we had it frozen. It was sitting out the whole day while I was making the soup, and you just preheat the oven to 400 and bake it for like 5 minutes. It's really simple. But anyways, this is how the soup turned out. It is such a beautiful soup. It tastes almost exactly like Panera, but I will say it does taste cleaner than Panera for whatever reason. I really can't explain that. I don't know what they possibly do differently or what they possibly add differently to make it probably more shelf stable, to be honest. But it does taste cleaner than Panera's. And so this is how the kids' plates are looking. So they have their soup, and I did it traditional Panera style. So they have some baguette and some apple slices, exactly like how they would get it if I ordered them the meals at Panera. So this was an amazing meal. Everybody was very satisfied, and we will definitely be making this again, probably after the baby though, because we have a ton of leftovers. Alright everybody, so I really hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you did, like I said in the beginning, please give me a thumbs up. And let me know if you guys try this recipe and how you like it. Like I said, I make this every year, so it's our usual. You know, I haven't found a recipe that ended up being better than this one, so we just stick to this one. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoy your day, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye everybody!